there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. It's got a 2005 Ford Explorer. I got towed in on the hook. Battery was completely dead. The customer said he had a hard time jump starting it, otherwise he would have jumped it and drove it here, but evidently couldn't do that. The tow truck driver, however, threw the jump pack on it and started up and pulled it over here in my bay. So I don't really know the story. It was right at the end of the day. So I unhooked the battery, unhooked one terminal, threw the charger on it, got that set up and went home and come back. And here we are. It's morning time. So now we've got to take and test this battery, see what's going on with that, and then obviously see what's going on with the vehicle and find out why this battery went dead. So I suppose it could have a big draw on it that killed it, because it was dead, like Zippo. Zero. I pulled the caps off the battery just to see if it had any water in it. It did. Everything looked good there. So there shouldn't be any surface charge on it because it's been, I don't know, 8 hours, something like that. So before we even get started, we'll just load test the battery. I don't see any date on it. 850 cold cranking amps. I'm gonna grab a carbon pile tester. I think the baby's turned off where you hook it up and you get some sparks. Maybe a little explosion. Let's see, 850 cold cranking amps. So we're going to be looking to achieve about 425 amps for at least 15 seconds. Our battery, I don't know how accurate the gauge is, about 12, probably about 12.6, so we can see that on there. I'll get you guys focused around here. Perhaps you can see it there. Probably good enough. So we're gonna hopefully, hopefully it stays above, 9.5, closer to 10 volts at 425 amps for probably 15 seconds, anyways. So we're gonna start adding a load to it. So about 425, 450, something like that. We're up in it. Stayed up really good. I'm happy with that. So we know the battery's not completely beat. We can let it sit here again and do that again, but I actually had to stop it. It was going to go above 500 amps. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then the battery did rebound back up to, I don't know, about 12.4 volts, somewhere's in there. So at least we have a baseline. We know we're starting with a battery that's not completely nuked. I was a little concerned because it was completely dead. Getting dirty. So the next thing, oh, thought she wasn't going to turn on. Next thing we're going to do is check charging system voltage before we go after any kind of draw, if that's what killed it, and just make sure that it's charging okay and all that stuff. If I can figure out how to use this thing, get our voltmeter here, hanging up on its fancy hook. Hope the hood stays up. I'm worried about the hood crashing down, so we change positions here. Let's see, 12.40, slightly undercharged. But we did just slam a big load on it too. Make sure we got good connections. Yeah, 12.3, so borderline. I'm going to go ahead and start it. About 14 volts, 14.1. Looks like we're getting a little noise on it though. Let her warm up here for a minute. Alright, so I had it running a little while. Alternator looks good. Before we assume everything's good, let me throw some loads on, see how things work there, and then we'll shut it off, let it sit, and go after a draw and see what's up. I just turned on the headlights and the blower motor. It's looking pretty good. Check it out her window defogger here. Alright, that's a full load situation. And she's dropping. 0.6. I think we'll give it a little toot on the throttle here. Nobody there. Well, honestly, it seems to be the longer we let this sit, the lower our voltage drops. Why don't I think we better be checking some stuff on this alternator. I see it doesn't look that old. We can see our voltage is sitting here dropping. Right now it's just the blower motor and the high beams are on. Kind of started out good, but it doesn't look like we're finishing too good here. Check some AC ripple on this. Come on. So we'll go into our scope here, set it on a 1-volt scale, and then we'll AC couple it. That doesn't look too bad. So usually 300 millivolts is about your limit. So it's checking the condition of the diodes in the alternator, and we got to be pretty close. Got to be about 200 millivolts, anyways. So 200 millivolts per division. Yeah, run about 200 millivolts. All right, well, we'll do some quick voltage drop test and call it. We'll put it up on digital scale so it's easier to see. Being that we've got it under load right now, we will just do a voltage drop test to the alternator case ground, make sure we got nothing going on there. And we do not. We're going to hook battery positive. See if we can do this without getting this chopped up in the belt. And we're going to go right off the top of the alternator stud. Again, snap on leads. There. There's your problem, lady. Got almost 1 volt of voltage drop from the battery positive to the alternator positive. Let me just switch this to a ground. We should have a higher charging voltage there, technically. I got about 13 volts in the alternator. That's with a full load, so that's pretty acceptable. However, that is not acceptable. Let's have a look. I think our problem's pretty obvious on this one. It burnt my dang test lead. Melted a little. The old cable here on the alternator is a little too hot to touch. Where does heat come from? Resistance, that's right. That would also account for a voltage drop. I'm going to go right off the stud on the alternator here. This thing has been toasting. So I don't know if you guys see it. Yeah, so one volt of voltage drop at the stud on the alternator. So there is voltage drop from the alternator to the battery. So that proposes the question, because this cable is blazing hot. I mean, you can't touch this sucker. Is our resistance in the cable or is it in our connection? Connection's tight, so we just need to be able to voltage drop directly. So this is the stud on the alternator. That's it, you know, essentially 1 volt. Now let's see if we can touch just the cable. So that's on our cable, 1/10 of a volt, which is completely acceptable. So, needless to say, so if that's the nut on the alternator, and then that's our cable. Oops. And that's our cable. So that proves that our cable is good. Our voltage drop lies between the nut, or the melted blob here on the back of the alternator, and the cable. That's where our voltage drop is occurring. That's interesting. So in that little section that's, you know, the thickness of like a dime, I don't know if I can get on there to crack it loose, or maybe we can take a screwdriver and touch it across them two and see if our charging voltage pops back up. Let me just hook this back to the battery. Alright, so that's our battery voltage. See if I can get in here with a pocket screwdriver and make contact again. See the little sparks flying. Oh, maybe I can do it just enough to jump some. I see it sparking a little bit when I do it, but too dang hot to touch. Yeah, toasty. So that's pretty interesting. In this case, because this thing is freaking melted into a blob, we're probably going to end up replacing the alternator unless we can get just that little adapter on the back, which I doubt. And let's see, it's a CarQuest alternator. See if we can get it warranted. Oh, must have made some connection there because our voltage is starting to come up. Yeah, there we go. So must be by fiddling around there. Now our charging voltage is starting to climb. Now we just need to wedge a little block of wood fixed. Can't believe I melted my lead. So I'm glad I let this thing run for a little bit before we went right into a, I thought we were going to have a draw. We may still have a draw. I'm not sure, maybe we got 2 problems. I'm glad we shed a little light on the subject back here, because that sucker is melted. She is hot. Insulation's all loose on that wire. Yeah, mostly just, ooh, she's hot, just up there towards that end. So I'm gonna let this thing cool down a little bit. I'm gonna call and get the story on this alternator, see if we can get it swapped out. It doesn't look that old. I'm not concerned about the battery whatsoever at this point. But I hope you guys understood about the voltage drop testing, you know, trying to verify, like, are we going to be, you know, changing out this cable back to, you know, the battery, the fuse box, wherever it goes, or is it just, you know, a piss poor connection at the alternator, which in this case it is, even though, you know, that connection is tight, you know, that wire's not loose, it's hot, but it's not loose. You know, I voltage dropped from the battery positive to the stud and then to the wire, and then you can see, you know, there's a volt difference between where the wire hooks up and then the stud. So obviously the nut that screws on the alternator is not making contact with the cable, or there's you know, some sort of resistance there, and of course that little resistance, you know, that makes an insane amount of heat, just like old ballast resistors and stuff, you know, usually come on big you know, big cooling blocks. All this heat energy is being dissipated up through the wire. So and then of course all the amperage is not making it back to the battery, so it's kind of like a kink in a hose, you know. So yeah, let me see what I can do. We're gonna let this thing probably cool down a little bit here anyways. So I got a hold of our good friends at Advanced Auto Parts and Battery, and they are sending us a new alternator. I went to, these alternators are wicked simple to change, so just 3 bolts and 1 wire here in the connector. I went to take this off and touched it, and it would not come off. It was just spinning, so I pretty much just had to break it off the back of the alternator. And all the threads come out with this this bolt. There's our cable. Our cable's intact. I don't know how they got this. This is part of that little 90-degree adapter that comes up the back. Really not much that holds it together, just that one little thin spot right there. Some kind of cheese dog to me. We'll look at the new one. Should be here very shortly. Hopefully it comes with that little adapter on it. Now I gotta get a pick. I already broke them loose, but don't think this Milwaukee's got that much pain, because it doesn't. So like I said, these are great. There we are. Like I say, that's that little adapter doodad there. Look on that. Of course, you know, we've already, where did the resistance come from in the beginning? The wire was nice and tight, so I doubt it was, you know, installation error on the first go round. It's probably, I assume this little 90-degree thing here is the weak link. Yeah, you can see, man, this is just a teeny tiny piece of metal they've got in there to handle all this current. I mean, this is probably a 120 amp alternator or something. I'd have to look it up unless it says on the case. I don't see any numbers on the case unless they're under the sticker. If you look up to see, it's probably at least 100 amps anyways. And then you can see this. So essentially this bolts to the back of the alternator, and then, you know, comes up and just gives you a stud extension to hook your wire on. And, you know, you can kind of see how it's made in there. You know, the eyelet looks good. But you can see, so I had to wiggle this. When this is on the back of the alternator, you know, I had to wiggle this to, you know, break it off. But you can see there was only had, you know, that much retention on it, just that little tiny shiny spot. Whereas actually hooked together, it looks like perhaps this is a stud and that's some kind of crimp they put around it. And you can see, hopefully you can see down inside there and see it's just a, it's pretty cheesy. Well, it'd be nice to be able to hook the wire right to the back side of the alternator, right on the stud, but you can't. So, here's what it is. Had a little resistance somewhere, it's made a little heat, made a little problem. Alright. Unlimited, limited lifetime warranty. Hopefully it's got the adapter, it does. Here she is. Brand new. Not new, I don't know. It was tested though. 130 amps output. So I was right, I knew it was going to at least be over 100. Tested and inspected. This one's a different color. Wonder what that means. Doesn't mean nothing. So it does have some different writing on it. Perhaps just from a different supplier, I don't know. Time will tell. I gotta make dang sure that in the reman process. No, that's good and tight. Well, I guess it's not reman. I think, yeah, no, these are remans. This back on here, get her snugged up. Of course, we're gonna have to clean up our cable in there where it got a little discolored. What's up, Mrs. O?
Not much.
Not gonna talk to us? Have anything to say?
I gotta go potty.
Oh, gotta go potty, huh? Even hot girls poop.
I didn't say I had to poop.
Oh, I'm just assuming. Make sure our eyelet is good and clean and bright and shiny. Make sure we got damn good contact here. This is where we had the problem before, or at least where the problem ended up. All done pinching your loaf?
Oh boy.
Oh, don't lie to us. I just used the sandpaper backwards and everybody saw it.
So, you're trying to make a spectacle of me because you were being silly?
Yeah. Making a spectacle of you, is that bad?
Oh, no, doesn't matter.
So you need
Not
my
really.
words around.
Where's all these appointments?
They're coming. Settle down.
Did they call?
No?
You think they're gonna come?
Well, the one guy is bringing the junk forward. He's towing the other car in at 95. So one's coming on a trailer. I assume
They're coming together.
they're coming together, yeah.
Oh, I see.
But they're driving a Ford, towing a GM, so you never know. So they could both be walking right now.
Walking here or walking home?
I don't know, wherever. Why am I using a piece of sandpaper when I got sweet air tools? Alright, I'm happy. You guys are happy. She's shiny, both sides. Should have good contact. Yeah, apparently he tried to jump this little guy and it wouldn't jump.
It would jump, right?
I don't know, you talk to the fella. I told people that he said, that you told me that he said that it wouldn't jump.
He said that he tried to jump it. And then...
But he's a big guy, I don't think he could jump all the way over this thing.
That is really corny.
I know.
And then...
Well, we make a lot of corny jokes.
They went into the test mode.
In the test mode? Like where? Like on his dash?
That's what he said.
It said like, what did it say? His tire pressure light's on and the oil change.
Stuff. I don't know. You're the mechanic. I don't know. I'm just a secretary relaying messages.
I don't know either, Vanessa. I don't know. Just trying to show the people. Trying to give them a story. Woo! Little spark. And yes, that's normal. A lot of people are going to see that and think that we got massive draw.
Did tell the people that had to jump my car this morning?
Well, it's because you left your freaking key on.
Yeah. You would have thought that the mechanic that took my key out would have started my car.
Yeah, so sometimes we have to learn lessons in life, and sometimes we learn them the hard way.
Well,
So
I think there's some lessons you need to learn the hard way.
I've learned a lot of them there, young lady.
I'm pretty sure you're not done learning
I
yet.
know I'm not. I know I'm not, but I hope you learned something from that this morning.
Yeah, not to just assume that you would have started my car when you took the key out of it, even though it was left on.
I thought I was nice just taking the key out of it.
I literally
Why was
thought...
your key on? I go outside last night like 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh.
Why was my key on? You knew why my key was on.
Did you run out like in a fit of rage to roll up your windows when it started raining?
No.
Oh.
I went out before it started raining to roll up my
So you weren't
windows.
even in a hurry?
And I was taking care of 3 children and 2 dumb huskies and
Oh, they're not dumb.
who knows? They were probably trying to run away when one of the kids opened the door
Yeah.
or the food was burning. I don't know. Anyways, I will not assume that my mechanic husband is going to start my car when the key was left on. Make
Off
sure
duty.
that in the morning when I take your children to school that it would be running.
It was
It
after
starts.
hours. After hours. Yes, after hours.
I think one of those little jump things that...
The jump thingamathing.
Yeah, the little small things The jump car.
How about you start? Whoa, there goes your book, Vanessa. It's all over the place. Whoa, there goes my wrench. How about you start the car up for us? Of course it's gonna work. We'll get hooked back up, see what she's doing. Put it under full load again. There's our charging voltage currently. We can turn on all the load. So I got the high beams on, blower on high, rear window defogger, same thing we had before. We're going to kind of see where this steadies out. So the longer I leave this sit under a full load condition, so high beams, blower motor, window defogger, not an unrealistic situation, particularly in the wintertime. You know, you start the car off, it's cold, you got your blower on high, you know, your automatic headlights come on, you got the window defogger on, and it's dropping like a rock. Besides, it's probably going to steady out here about, yeah. Seems to be steady in about 12.2 is where it's holding. Now I grabbed our paper there out of our alternator and 100% end of the line tested. It says it put out 130 amps at high RPM and 12.5 volts at max load at an idle and with a max current of 88 amps output. That's what they claimed when they packaged this on 12, 9, and 16. And we are holding about the 12.2 volts. I'm just curious. So our cable's not getting hot anymore, that's good. I guess for proof of concept here, we will double check our voltage drop. I'll get my wires all up in there. So there's our voltage drop, you know, 0.13 volts, completely acceptable under a full load condition like this. You know, that's more than acceptable. So our voltage output of the alternator, 12.24. What I want to know is what is our amperage. You know, obviously the amperage output is probably not what they're claiming it to be. I grabbed our current clamp here. So 10 millivolts per amp is the scale we've got it on. We're going to be watching amperage coming out. Make sure we got it in the right direction here. Make sure you hook it up the right way. So every 10 millivolts is an amp. On our paperwork it says it should put out 88 amps. We're putting out 60. Awesome. Unfreaking believable. Actually it's not. Reman stuff is garbage. As we get to prove it again. So idle condition puts out 60 amps. We can see how much the truck is consuming. It's probably right near that. That's why our charging voltage drops down to 12.2. Let's see what our max output is. Supposedly it's supposed to be 130 amps max at full field. Can't get to the regulator on this. To make sure it's full fielded, we could plug in, well, scan tool, make sure it is. But with this heavy of a load, we can assume that it is. Alright, so right now we're putting out about 60 amps. Let's see what it does. 120. That's pretty close to 130. Obviously the alternator is full fielded. But at an idle, my numbers don't match, dude. So I guess one thing we could look at, just for the sake of testing, at the alternator we know, under full load condition, at an idle, it has the ability to, put out 62 amps. Now what is the truck consuming? So we'll come over to the battery. And we still have a deficiency of about 18 amps, 16 amps, roughly. Now that's the amount of, current coming out of the battery going to the, accessory box and, to the vehicle. So we would take our 60, add it to this, so about, the truck is demanding or using about 72 amps. Indeed, if this put out the 88 amps, it would be sufficient. So technically, if we rev the truck up, this should go into the negative numbers as the amperage increases, the output amperage increases from the alternator. To get you guys set up. So just so I'm making myself clear, this is the difference between, so the alternator is putting out 60 amps, but there's still, 15 amps leaving the battery that's not coming back. So if we rev it up, the amperage should reverse and the current should be going back into the battery. Let me rev this up, it should go negative on us. So you can see there we hit about 35 amps of current being put back into the battery, but now we're back into a deficiency. Well, I guess that's it. Now we start playing swap the alternator out 1,000 times game until we get one that puts out what it's supposed to. Otherwise, in a full load situation, like I say, not an unrealistic one either. Headlights on, defroster on, rear window defogger on. I mean, that's a very, very common combination to have, and perhaps even the wipers, sitting in the rain. You get stuck in traffic, it's going to leave you walking. This alternator will not keep up with the demand of the vehicle. Obviously, that's a problem that we've installed because our initial problem was, some voltage drop, possibly because of, a faulty, 90-degree connector here. Like I said, you can see there's not much holding on, certainly not enough to carry that amount of current. And so here we are. That's that. I don't know who remanufactures these. Somebody in Mexico, it says. Of course, we could always call their technical support. That's always fun. They have an 800 number on there. But it's not Advance's fault. It's the remanufacturer. I have no idea. It's probably A1 Cardone is who they use, I assume. But like I say, we'll call up, we'll order 5 or 6 more, and we'll just keep swapping them out until we get one that can put out the max current to keep up with the low idle demand, or at least keep up with their claims. So, story of my life. Got to keep trucking though. So hopefully in this video we did learn a little bit about the importance of voltage drop testing and be able to tell, is it the wire, is it the connection, where's our problem at? And kind of take it from there. So unfortunately, like I say, we did install a new problem, which we've got to go through now. So in either case, I gotta move. Subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Click the notification bell. Check us out on our socials. Find us on Patreon if you want to support and love what we do. We appreciate that. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.